How's it going, everybody? So this week, we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to step out of the rabbit hole that is Islam. We're just going to do some current events type stuff. I've picked out a few top items, mostly off of Reddit. I'll be sure to put all of the links. I've got a Google Doc with all of the links in there. I'll just put that in the description. You can check these out at your leisure. But I would say, let's go ahead and get into it. There's a lot here. Okay, first one for the day. The Dallas Mavericks have ceased playing the national anthem for home games this season and do not plan to play it moving forward. So it says here in the tweet from the Athletic Dallas, they've ceased playing the national anthem before home games this season and do not plan to play it moving forward. Tells you about the team's decision with Mark Cuban confirmed to the Athletic. You can check out this here. I'm not going to probably read through the entire thing, but yeah, it looks like I can't anyway. You have to be subscribed. I would just have to say, maybe the NBA would have something to say about that, but it doesn't bother me if we don't play the national anthem at the start of sports events. I, for one, don't even watch sports, but I can understand why people might decide to have some outrage over the national anthem in general, but I personally don't really feel like it's necessary to play the national anthem before a sports event unless it's like, I don't know, the Olympics, It just seems a little weird to me, but hey, to each their own. Not saying people can't do it. I'm just saying, hey, if they don't want to play the national anthem, I don't really feel like that's something I can bring myself to care about. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want to have a discussion about any of these topics, hit me up, send me a message, and we'll talk about some stuff. We'll pick out some subjects. We'll have a good time. Moving on. So there's a Reddit post I saw. It says, this should be the standard for all of our educators here in the U.S. So let's read through this here. My parents seem genuinely shocked at my class policies. Yes, your fifth grader may redo any test or quiz. No, I don't care how many times they choose to retake it. Let's make this a little bigger here. I don't care how many times they choose to retake it. Yes, they can turn in that assignment late. I'm a whole adult that requires grace and mercy. I can extend that to kids. I think that's pretty admirable. Then the comments here. If the point is for children to learn, then why wouldn't you give them as many chances as it takes? What is the benefit of telling a child, you failed, and that's the end of it? Then the comment here. I'm 25, and in my trade school, our tests aren't judgment. They're testing to see what we've retained and identify what we're missing. If I weld a joint and the CWI comes up behind me with a radiographic test for it, it finds that I just laid hot metal on cold metal or it looks like a sponge inside, you know what's going to happen? You think they're going to give me a score and tell me to move up? F no. They're going to hand me a grinder and tell me to take it out and put it in right. When there's actual work to be done, we don't leave it at the first attempt if that attempt was crap. We don't leave a trail of what's done is done. If it takes you 4 attempts, that's what it takes. And next time it'll take fewer because you learn how to do it right after the 3rd time. School, as it's set up, with unforgiving deadlines and single attempt high stakes and single attempt high stakes tests are building a crappy work ethic. It says, I tried once and that's all you're getting. It sets you up to leave a trail of cut losses and barely or unfinished projects as you scramble to get something, anything, turned in before the deadline, and we wonder why nothing works at launch. So there's a lot to unpack there. I'm not so sure that, I mean, there's a lot of ways to improve any system, so this shouldn't be, seen as a specific attack on any particular institution. I think I could say that about almost every institution, but what I'm trying to get at here is I think that there's definitely ways to improve the institution of learning, and I do think that there are some benefits in certain fields to make it so that people have to either make or break. But I do agree that it's employed as a teaching standard a little bit too widely across the board, in my opinion. I think that, there's a lot of wisdom in what Cyborg Alchemist is saying. Gotta love Reddit. But I think that people get multiple chances and they get the ability to make mistakes in the learning process. And I guess somebody could say, well, the 10-point grading scale or the 5-point grading scale allows you to fail a certain amount, and you're just trying to get, the best that you can, recognizing that most people are going to not get, the 90th percentile, or the, those people that are, go through and never miss a question or something like that. But the point is we shouldn't be tailoring our entire system that encompasses many different learning styles. And, when we're talking about making people ready to work in society, not everybody's job is going to entail kind of the standard that school puts people under in some cases. So I would say that there could be room for improvement, and it would be a long discussion. It wouldn't be just like something offhand, oh yeah, I can just snap my fingers and fix the system or anything. But I think that, on the other hand, there's always that kind of pushback that I've experienced throughout my life whenever you mention anything about, education, which, of course, we just had a really, in my opinion, awful Secretary of Education who really didn't value, like, the whole point of having a good education system. They're obviously just playing into her pockets or whatever, but anytime one criticizes the education system, then, all of a sudden people are up in arms about, this or that. And then there's also, like, some people that I have talked to that are teachers kind of feel like, well, this is just what they went to school for, and they're just enforcing the system, that they've been taught. They're pretty much feel like a cog within the machine and really don't feel like they could affect this large change. And I would just have to say that, yeah, it might seem like a daunting task, and I would guess that anybody would admit that, hey, there's always improvement in any system. But just putting your arms up in the air and saying, because I can't think of a way, means I should just keep on going the way it is. I think there needs to be some room for improvement, and it has improved quite a bit from when I went to school, at least from what I've seen, which admittedly isn't as much as a teacher. But the point being is like, I've seen improvements. I just think that we need to keep going, and we need to keep moving this process along so that we find that best happy medium between the make or break, or the more, this type of teaching policy, which I've had classes that were like that. And it's nice being in those classes. And to be honest, I don't feel like I learn less in those classes because I, had to study for a test that's worth 50% of my friggin' course grade, And if I don't pass it, then it's a major deal. Like, that to me, yeah, sure, if you're going to Harvard or, some institution where you're, already expecting you have to make high stakes, snappy decisions, in the moment. I could say, okay, well, if you're going for a specific degree like that, then so be it. But it's only been a few cases, and in a lot of people's case, I would guess it's probably hardly ever, that I felt like I've needed to get something done, in a snappy moment. And if I failed, it was on that one decision. I don't think there's ever been a case that it's been under just one decision. It's been a group decision, and, we moved forward with maybe something riskier or something like that as a group decision. We didn't just say, okay, we've got, Maverick over here just doing whatever the heck he wants in the workforce, and, is not going to tell anybody else what's going on or anything like that. Like, I'm sure there's places that exist like that, but in the normal corporatized system, or at least in my experience, it's a team effort, or it's, a boss, kind of dictating things, which I found that doesn't work for long term. If it's just a straight authoritarian style management, and we're getting a little off topic here, but if it's an authoritarian style management, it might work for certain situations in the short term, but in the long run, it really doesn't work out. You end up just losing a bunch of people in your workforce. Moving on. Got way off topic there. I'll try to keep it a little bit more on topic here. So I know this is going to get some people all fired up. Oh boy. Oh boy. But it's the Super Bowl. Sikh people have shaved their beards to better wear masks. First Nations people have modified sacred millennia-old rituals to be safe for COVID, but tell some honkies they can't go to Super Bowl, and that's somehow culturally damaging. Bravo, sir. I don't know that you have to call people honkies, but I get what you're getting at. This is where I'm at. Like, he or she, Mucks, the mighty Mucks, you have to think about the common good. You can't, in a democratic system, always just be thinking me, because that's not the way the system works. I mean, a lot of billionaires and, people who are highly successful would probably tell you that it's the opposite, but think of their perspective. It's a little bit different, and they don't make policies, right? Or if they do push policies, it's for their own benefit and not for the benefit of everybody else. So I'm just saying, like, having people pack into a Super Bowl stadium, for one, the NFL, you done messed up, dude. Like, why would you even allow that? Like, you're so... And I mean, I guess it's this system put in place. There's nobody telling them that they can't do it, is like the argument. But the thing that I would just have to say is that just because you're not told to do something doesn't mean that you shouldn't do the right thing. And I also don't particularly take the excuse of, well, I just, don't believe in this or that, or I don't, I specifically don't do what the government says. I mean, dude, is this really like masks? Masks is where you're going to draw the line. You're going to bunker down on this, when it's like, just because there was misinformation out towards the start of the pandemic doesn't mean that it just justifies not just closing your ears and, covering your eyes. It doesn't justify just saying, well, from now on, since there is misinformation, I just can't believe anything that they say. Let's be honest, people. The reason that there was misinformation is because of the Trump administration. The Trump administration's not there, okay? And I'm not saying Biden's great, but I find it hard to believe that Biden is going to do as bad as Trump. The establishment ain't great, but dang, Republicans, you guys sucked real bad for the past 4 years. Like, you are literally about to lose your party, period. You're about to lose your party. All the Republicans out there, what did Republicans, this is something I can even speak now from experience. It's like 10 years ago, what did it mean? Or, what was it that was like the average Republican? It was like Romney, right? Mitt Romney was kind of the middle ground. I don't know, maybe. And now we found that Romney is like, quote unquote, I don't know if I necessarily believe this, but he's like the best of them. He's like Two-Face from Batman. But the point being is like, that party has changed to something completely different. It's not even close to the same thing that it was. George W. Bush wasn't a part of the Republican Party we see today. Like, I don't, in any stretch of the word, believe that. And I realize that there's many factors that can go into that. But the point is that this all factors into all of these little conspiracy theories that people want to come up with, about mask wearing and about, various other conspiracy theories like, the QAnon debacle that we're currently in, which I don't know if QAnon did Pizzagate, but it's down that ballpark, like they spread all of this mass hysteria conspiracy theories. And I do think that a lot of them have their heart in the right place, so to speak, but they take somebody's word for these just crazy claims and they run with it until it gets dangerous. And that's the thing that's the problem there. But anyway, I don't think they should have had a Super Bowl. And if somebody was like, oh, well, that's our heritage, guess what? If you don't follow the rules and you don't act in accordance with, what you need to do to make society better, like wearing masks, not going out and acting a freaking fool, going to freaking bars and dance clubs and who knows where else. Just stay in your freaking houses and wear a mask if you go out. And this would have been over. And then you wouldn't even have to think about complaining about whether or not there was a Super Bowl or whether or not people are pissed that there was a Super Bowl like I am. Because I've actually sat in my friggin' house. And I'm just saying, like, what are you guys doing? Really? Having a Super Bowl? Ridiculous. Freaking ridiculous. Moving on to the next topic. This one says a cruel and efficient system. Also on Reddit. It's an article, it's just snippets of a few articles here. September 2019, both of these articles came out. Looks like one was on the 19th and the 26th. The Army beat its recruitment goals this year by targeting students in debt. And the same month, military suicides continue to rise. Now, one thing I'll say is correlation doesn't equal causation necessarily. But I do this is a good conversation starter at a minimum. Because we don't necessarily know that this correlates. I mean, it seems likely that it correlates. And I do know that there's been some issues with suicides, especially after people get out of the military. The VA man, they're not doing great. Really not. They're not doing great. There's a lot of people that have suffered because of that. A lot of good men and women who did serve are suffering because of that. I personally don't think, even though I did benefit, I'll admit I benefited from the GI Bill, but I personally don't think that college should be offered to people joining the military as an incentive. I think that if you join the military, sure, you can have some incentives like, you're going to have 3 hots and a cot each day. And, I guess withstanding you're not in, forward deployed or something. But you're going to get taken care of. You get a pension if you serve long enough. Get, health care while you're in. If you get injured, I think you ought to get benefits like that. But I think that there's all of those things that I've mentioned so far make sense because you're putting your life on the line. And I'm just saying that this here kind of changes the motivation for somebody to sign up. Because, like, if you have all those things, right? You could stay for 20 some years or whatever and get a pension. It might be different in different branches of the military. I was in the Marines. I think you have to be in for like 20 years, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in order to get a pension, and hey, if you do that, then, that's 20 years, dude. You ought to get something. I firmly believe that. And I am just saying that this is something we should just provide in general in our society. So, like, I'm not saying that troops shouldn't get an education for free or whatever. So don't, try to twist my words, all ye naysayers out there. But the point that I'm trying to mainly make here is that I think that this should be something that should be paid for by our, by government institutions, just like we pay for grade school or elementary school and high school. I think that if people want to pursue college and they meet certain specifications, they can't just be in college for 10 years. Obviously this is a very in-depth and nuanced type of discussion, which, if somebody wants to have it, I'll, do some research and we'll talk about it. We'll have a podcast on it, but just in the short sound bite-ish, we're going a little bit longer than a sound bite. I just have to say that if you have a society that prioritizes people, and I'm saying our society runs off of this profit machine, and usually in order to get a part of the profit machine, you either have to come up with your entrepreneurial way of making money, or you have to work for somebody else who affords you essentially the stability of a job. And then usually it comes with better jobs, of course, you get benefits and that. But the point being is they give you some benefits and a pay, and then they ultimately profit much more than you would profit through that relationship. And I'm just saying that those companies value someone with a bachelor's degree specifically. I'm sure there's some value in associates too. And sure, there's value in trade schools. But here's the thing. Those trade schools don't really provide you as much as what a bachelor's degree would. Now, granted, there's people who are trades people who start their own business and, go on to be entrepreneurs themselves. And they could say, well, I don't have any, bachelor's degree or anything like that. And that's true. But I would say more often than not, that's not the case. Usually people that get a trades school, they go and they get, if you work for a union, for example, like an electrician, working 20 years, 10, even less than that, working 10, 15 years as an electrician, getting union pay. I can't speak for other states, but like in Illinois, Iowa area, you can make some decent money for our area, which is like, 85 to 100,000 journeyman. And then of course, if you're a master electrician, you can make quite a bit more. Well, depending. Usually you make your money off of permits and doing, inspections and that. But the point being is that's nowhere near even still what the person who owns the company that, and they're not going to let people just be, to be a master electrician, if you go through a journeyman program, you're talking a significant amount of, training. So even within those systems, they're requiring this, advanced in some cases training in order to make those extra dollars. And if you have a system that incentivizes this, and I've been, going on for a little bit on this, you really need to just provide it if people want it. And you need to put stipulations on that so that people can't abuse that system. But at the same time, it doesn't make any sense that we would spend as much money as we do on all of these different, projects that the U.S. government just wants to have, where there's not really any seen benefit by the American public. Whereas this right here would be seen. We could reduce the amount of poverty. We could reduce, in turn, the amount of crime, all because of education. And we know that these things are a correlation. So arguing against that, you would have to then answer for other ways in which to combat these other problems without resorting to violence, like a police officer patrolling, I'm just saying, like a police officer patrolling a street where the only thing they do is just literally, they don't have any way of getting a job. They live in the slums. And then it's just perpetuating this violence where people get into these traps where they have to resort to other things to make money. I'm just saying, these are all correlations. The data exists. And countless people are in jail today because our infrastructure and our system left them out to dry. Really. They didn't educate them. They didn't instill this need for, self-advancement, to continue always trying to push to strive to become better. Like a lot of the people who promote capitalism try to say that capitalism instills in people. Well, you're right to some extent, but if those opportunities seem far-fetched and really not even achievable to somebody that has even a subpar high school education, if you live out in the slums, you're not getting the same education as somebody living in Pasadena, California, or Beverly Hills. You're getting a subpar education and you're expected to go out into the workforce. This whole pull yourself up by the bootstraps argument. You're expected to go out into the workforce and just pull yourself up by your bootstraps without the same toolkit that somebody else got. It's just doesn't make sense. People need to be provided an equal opportunity to prosper. That's the most patriotic and American thing that I can think of, is equal opportunity. And that's not provided right now. It's just not. You can either plug your ears and hum all you want. You can do that if you want. But as we've seen, it's not going to make the problem go away. It's in fact going to make it worse. It's just going to keep getting worse. And the more we keep just plugging our ears and the worse it's going to get. Let's go on to the next one. This one's taking a break from the more serious subjects here. I thought this was pretty funny. My dad disguising himself to get in the yearbook twice. 1980s. Oh, that's great. That is great. I wonder if it was a joint effort or if he just went to the bathroom, changed real quick. Oh, that's funny. All right. Next one. South Dakota judge appointed by Trump, Allie Christie Nome, is how I'm guessing you pronounce that, rejects marijuana legalization. A South Dakota judge overturned a voter-approved constitutional amendment to legalize marijuana on Monday. Amendment A would have legalized marijuana for recreational use and was approved by over 54% of South Dakota voters last November. Republican Governor Kristi Noem, a close ally of former President Donald Trump, opposed the legalization effort and moved to reject the amendment after it passed, arguing that it should be overturned on technical grounds. I guess I'm not sure what technical grounds that would be. Or she's maybe saying that it's it's federally illegal, so that's her technical ground, the tired argument. But anyway, let's see. Circuit Judge Christina Klinger, who was appointed by Noem in 2019, agreed with the governor and invalidated the amendment late Monday afternoon. Klinger's ruling asserted that the amendment dealt with more than one issue and was therefore a revision to the state constitution rather than an amendment. Amendment A is unconstitutional as it includes multiple subjects in violation of the South Dakota Constitution and is therefore void and has no effect, Klinger wrote in the ruling. Furthermore, Amendment A is a revision as it has far-reaching effects on the basic nature of South Dakota's governmental system. The ruling was the result of a lawsuit brought by South Dakota Highway Patrol Superintendent, of course, Colonel Rick Miller and Pennington County Sheriff Kevin Thorne shortly after the election. Noem had directed Miller to file the lawsuit on her behalf, according to an executive order that the governor issued on January 8th. Miller and Tom said they were pleased with the decision in a statement on Monday, according to Kilo. Marijuana advocates had a very different view and quickly vowed to appeal the ruling. We do disagree with the ruling, and we are preparing our appeal to the South Dakota Supreme Court. South Dakotans for Better Marijuana Law is a group that championed the amendment and fought the court effort to invalidate it, said in the statement posted to Facebook. Almost done here. Noem insisted that South Dakota voters had made the wrong choice after they voted to legalize marijuana in November. On Monday, she celebrated the ruling to overturn the choice and expressed confidence that the South Dakota Supreme Court, which includes 2 justices she appointed, will uphold the decision that should it be appealed. The South Dakota Supreme Court consists of 5 justices. Today's decision protects the safeguards our Constitution, Noem said. Today's decision protects and safeguards our Constitution, Noem said in a statement obtained by Newsweek, confident that South Dakota Supreme Court, if asked to weigh in as well, will come to the same conclusion. A separate measure legalizing medical marijuana, which passed with nearly 70% of the vote, was not affected by Monday's ruling. Polling indicates growing and widespread U.S. support for both medical and recreational marijuana legalization. November 2020 Gallup poll found that 68% of Americans support legalization, although 52% of Republicans were opposed, specifically. So, I gotta say, what about democracy? What about democracy? People voted that in. That's the whole point of it. And I'm just saying, you can't say that that's a democracy I mean, I would hope that the system put in place overturns this, because it sounds to me like some really concerning sophistry there. They're essentially trying to use some sort of a technicality to invalidate what the American voter who pays the taxes, who puts that person in office, voted for. And if I was in, if I was in South Dakota, I would be utterly pissed if I voted for that measure, and then the South Dakota, government overturned what I voted for. Doesn't matter if it was marijuana or anything. If I voted for that and it was a majority vote, listen here, bucko, you have to uphold the part of the Constitution that says you do what we say. We voted for it. How about that part of the Constitution? How is that invalidated? Because that's essentially what she did. She invalidated the Constitution by claiming that it was invalid to the Constitution. Well, it's like, well, hold on now. Wait a minute. Did they vote on it or did they not vote on it? And if they voted on it, what did they say? Where else is there anything? But that's all I have for today. It's a little bit shorter of an episode. Next week, I want to, I've got a couple other options on the table. Thinking about doing a episode on the state of gaming, the gaming industry. And I also have another episode where probably another World Topics episode, but I'll be doing it with a co-host or maybe a guest. Depends whether he wants to be a co-host or a guest. But anyway, if this is stuff that you like, if you like my podcast, please hit that like on Facebook, share on Facebook, hit the subscribe button if you're watching me on YouTube. And as always, thanks for watching.